Hi, welcome. Thanks for joining me in this talk about infidelity and can a relationship actually get better after an affair? And it is a big question, and it's a big thing that apparently a lot of relationships will face during the course of a lifetime if you're going to stay together or if you're in a relationship. Apparently 60% of people confess that they have cheated on a spouse. So it's not 60% of relationships. There's two people in every relationship, and 60%, so more than half, have confessed to having been unfaithful. And I'm going to run through what that means and how to kind of reframe a few of these things so that you can get the best out of the situation if that's something that you're going through. And also, and the big, huge shifts that I've made during my lifetime on this topic, because I used to be like really narrow-minded and really black and white, and there's been like a vast expansion in my viewpoint on this. So I want to talk about that, talk about clients, stories and stuff that I've experienced myself and other people have shared with me. Of course, keeping everything anonymous, and just so that we can get the knowledge across to you, so that you can have this information for you in your life. So the first thing I'm going to open with is talking about a dog biting you. So if you have a dog and that dog bites you, then you're always going to not trust that dog, right? You're going to think, what if it bites me again? Is that dog safe? Can I trust it to not bite other people? And in a lot of cases, the dog in real life, if it bit you, would actually get put down, which is really quite sad. So you might be thinking, yes, if my partner cheats on me, I would have him put down or her put down. And that's like that black and white, yes or no, right or wrong, kind of thinking. It's like, no way would I accept that. I deserve more. And yes, that is 100% true. We all do deserve to have a faithful, loving, functional, devoted, and faithful relationship. So it's not a question of would you forgive or forget, or would you, leave and start fresh. Sometimes there's complex situations. It's not just about, did the dog bite? Why did the dog bite? What happened? What role was played across the relationship as a as a lifelong journey together? How did each party contribute? Are either party or both parties willing to do the work that's required to get through this? And what do other people do in the world with this kind of stuff? Because it often isn't something that's shared. Like sometimes we know of somebody that's like a cheater or having an affair, or you see this kind of thing, or you hear rumors, but for the people that are actually going through it, it is quite a traumatic and awful kind of way to have to make a decision on whether you're going to stay or leave. Now, look, there are relationships where this stuff happens and it's accepted. There are different kinds of relationships, like open relationships. There are relationships where people turn a blind eye, and each person has their own reason for being in a relationship, and those reasons aren't always the same reasons. It's always about first about connection and being that, having that support and that person there and that love. But there's also other needs, like financial, situational, circumstantial, parenting, comfort, different kinds of things like that. And then there's cultural things as well. There's whole stacks of stuff. Relationships are definitely not a black and white topic. Now, people come into a relationship with their own baggage, with their own traumas and their own things, and a lot of that can be about unhealthy behaviors, different coping mechanisms. People come in with habits that are not nice, like maybe addictions, whether it's hard addictions or soft addictions. They come in with strategies of dealing with conflict that may or may not be healthy or compatible, and everybody is always coming into a relationship bringing not just themselves but their past with them. And so we're going to look a little bit about how these things can impact whether or not someone is faithful and whether or not the relationship is going to last. And I've spoken before about the Gottman researchers that looked at the 4 behaviors that will accurately predict whether a couple stays together. And interestingly, infidelity was not one of them. Now, like I said, 60% of people in relationship confess to being unfaithful, but actually out of couples where there's been infidelity, it's an amazing 70% actually stay together and work it out and are able to get to a better place, not the same place they were before, because if they were in a great place before, then this wouldn't have happened. And that's part of the reason why there is also, like, while it's painful, while it's unpleasant, while it isn't what you'd hope for or nice, an infidelity might be an opportunity to take a long, hard look at what you had and how that could be improved, and what different things can be done in the relationship to make it a healthy, strong, functional, and faithful relationship moving forward. So like I said, my stance on this changed drastically. I had a friend many, many, many years ago when I was very, very young, and I remember her just casually telling me that she had been in all 3 seats of the, not the drama triangle, but the relationship triangle. So she just casually said, and very, like as if it was, nothing to be ashamed of, she just said, oh yeah, I've been cheated on. I've also been the cheater, and I've been the person that someone's cheated with. So the 3 seats, positions in one of these situations. And I just thought to myself, in absolute shock of this person that I respected and liked and who seemed like such a lovely person, that, this woman must have absolutely no ethics or scruples to have so casually just accepted that she had done these things. I, at that point, was like, I would never do this, I would never do that, I'm black and white and blah, blah, blah. Since then, and this happens to me all the time when I judge, so I really try not to judge people, is I've actually sat in each of those chairs in some aspect across the, following 10 years after judging her. So this is now decades ago for me, because I'll be 50 this year. So I've now got years and years of experience, and obviously I'm now in a very settled, comfortable, loving relationship where I'm hopefully doing the work every day to be living in a positive, loving way. But as I said, it was actually life experience that helped me to understand and to grow and to gain like a more compassionate insight that there isn't like a good person and a bad person. There isn't like an ethical or principle necessarily that like will sort of like make somebody invincible or untouchable in these kind of ways. And I now say that I never say never. And I know someone that actually has that tattooed on their arm. I don't have any tattoos, but if I was going to get one, never say never would be up there on my mantras. Okay, so everyone's human. Everyone is susceptible. If there are other people doing it, it's likely that it's not something that is impossible for any of us to do. Okay, affairs have nothing to do, for the most part, with how much somebody loves their partner. A lot of people are very loving towards their partners, although falling out of love is definitely one of the possible reasons, just one. There are many, many reasons why someone might have an affair. Falling out of love is only one of those possible reasons. And like I'll do another video on how to stay in love, how to build connection, how to have consistency, and to keep your relationship sort of tight and on the right path. But out of all the reasons, unhealed emotional trauma would have to be number one, because we go into a relationship bringing all our past with us, all our programming, all our unconscious stuff. And if we have anything that is going to misalign at any point in our relationship journey with our partner, there is the potential there that we're going to self-sabotage. And that is essentially part of what somebody being unfaithful is. Now, if your partner has been unfaithful, it is likely that there is some kind of underlying internal reason. It's unlikely to be about you. However, what we do in relationship is we feed into each other's trauma patterns. So if somebody has cheated on you, it's likely that they are feeding into your trauma patterns, bringing up feelings of abandonment and betrayal for you that is giving you an opportunity there to work through some of that stuff. People will cheat if they have unmet needs. Now, look, we'd love to all be so whole and complete that we can self-sufficiently meet all our own needs. But the truth is that most of us are walking around a little bit fragmented, a little bit gappy, if you like. And so we all have needs for communication and connection and affection and love and praise and understanding and excitement and variety and stability. And like, there's just like such a whole plethora of words I could throw at you about what people are looking for in relationship. And that gets down to the daily grind. So you wake up, you go to work, you deal with life, you pay the bills. You know, there might be inequitable balance shifts of power. There might be communication styles where things aren't being communicated, like you just keep the peace, you don't communicate things that are frustrating or whatever. And then someone else comes along and all this frustration and whatever is sitting there, and this other person is like the counter of what that is. And so that can cause kind of like button pressing going on. You know, that we're all human, we all have responses. Being in a relationship does not mean you're never going to be attracted to anyone else as long as you live. That would be unrealistic. We'd like to hope that our partner will never be attracted or never have that spark of excitement when someone looks across the room. But just like we, you know, had those feelings when we were in high school, we don't sort of hit a certain age and then they just disappear. So daily grind, meaning too much sameness, not enough spark, not communicating needs. Mental and emotional health. If other areas of life are making someone feel anxious, depressed, like worthless, blah, 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 and then someone comes along to make them feel good, there's going to be a dopamine hit. And that can also be activated by out drinking alcohol or playing pokies or any kind of other like addictive kind of things. But we can get those kind of highs from the excitement of having someone else's attention on us. And we all know we like attention. So having an affair can bring about an avoidance. Like we can avoid having to deal with the real issues. We can have like that fantasy about everything feeling better, like this, you know, like this new path of life that's going to be better, solve all our problems. There can be distraction. Like I don't have to face being responsible. I don't have to have the, you know, the stuff that I've messed up in my past, in my, you know, from them and move to something new and exciting. People with low self-esteem are going to be more likely to cheat. So if, you know how people sometimes will put their partner down or demoralize them or humiliate them or whatever, that's going to make them more likely to cheat, not less. It's not going to stop someone having an affair because they think that they're too ugly or too fat or too whatever. So it's always good. People like people who make them feel good. So it's actually good to build your partner up, be their biggest cheerleader and their biggest advocate. And that's very positive, because when someone feels very powerless or feels like they're a failure, they're more likely to seek the validation of an outside party. Overwhelm. When people are overwhelmed, when they're adulting and really struggling with the responsibility, and that can be, like I said, a lot of this is unhealed past trauma. So if you've watched your parents struggle with something in the past and then all of a sudden your life is kind of there and it wasn't good to witness your parents doing it, now you're doing it as well, there can be like I said, like escape clause, like this is just too much. It's a bit of a Peter Pan sort of theory, sort of behavior where they just check out of the adulting. unbalanced focus, like someone who's focusing way too much on one area of their life, like their work, or, you know, something else, money, kids, like where the wife's all focused on the kids, the husband's all focused on the work. There's not a round, holistic balance in the relationship. So you might find that you're meeting your partner just on surface level conversations, you know, about what the kids did and who did what in the office and that kind of thing. There's not really like a lot of one-to-one connection, which goes back to those unmet needs. But it all boils down to one thing. People who feel genuinely good in themselves, genuinely connected to themselves, genuinely feel love and care and value and worth and everything within them, are not going to be entering into extramarital affairs. You're just not going to be in that vibrational state if you are feeling whole and good within you. So the glorious search for happiness is not with someone else. It doesn't lie out there somewhere, and that doesn't matter if you're the person who's had the affair or the person who was cheated on. The key to happiness is to simply boil everything down to the simplest form. And that's part of that is going through self-help or therapy, or really digging through the self-awareness bucket, taking accountability, getting back into a space of power within yourself, and moving out of victim mode. So you're not there blaming, like, you did this to me. That's the most powerless place you can possibly be. And to be honest, as long as you're in that mode of thinking, in victim mode, it's always going to be painful. So no one can make you feel happy. No one can make you feel safe. No one can make you feel loved long term, because you're always going to be you're going to need revalidating, reassuring, everything. There's going to be a continuous requirement in the relationship, which then just turns you into a needy partner, and that's not going to be a good space to have the relationship built on. Okay, so let's go back to the dog. Why did it bite? Why did it bite? That's what we've run through. There's so many different reasons why this can happen. And if I walk up to my dog now and I just yank his tail, he's going to bite me. I can tell you right now. If I go and try and stick my hand in his bowl while he's like there wolfing down, really hungry, he's going to bite me. There's going to be a million reasons, and they don't all mean that the person is bad. So I guess everyone wants to feel happy and loved and to belong, be valued, to be appreciated, to feel safe, and to be able to trust. The same is true for the person who cheated as it is for the person who was cheated on. Everyone's looking for the same things. So I'm going to throw that line out there, that once a cheater, always a cheater. I'm going to throw that out because that would be the most generalized comment that anyone could make. You cannot generalize. It might be true for one person and it might be completely the opposite for another. Essentially, if 60% of people have cheated, does that mean that 60% are always going to cheat? Absolutely not. It means that in that moment, in that relationship, in that situation, they made that step forward, that action, that choice. It does not mean that they're going to be doing that again for the rest of their life. In fact, somebody who hasn't cheated ever hasn't actually had the opportunity to learn the lesson. Maybe they don't need to learn it. That's also possible. But if somebody has had a situation and they made a wrong choice, then they essentially may have learned the lesson, and people do need opportunity to learn lessons. So if you are planning to just stay in the relationship, pretend it never happened and just keep doing what you were doing before, it's likely that it will just keep happening again because there was something not right for it to be happening in the first place. And this is where we can take some power back by our accountability. Infidelity can bring huge, huge opportunity for self-growth, self-reflection, and that's all it is about. What I always say is that everything in my life is in my life because of something within me, or it wouldn't be there. So as within, so it will be without. So Based on that, I take everything as an opportunity for internal work and internal growth. Human nature is that we don't fix stuff until it is broken. It's unfortunate but true. Maintenance is always going to be, prevention is always better than cure. But once you get to a point where something's broken, you've got two choices. You can either throw it out in the bin and get another one, which is good for low value objects. Like if I have a $4 pair of socks and it's, you know, got a hole in the bottom, I'm probably not going to spend 2 hours stitching that together. But if something is valuable and I need it and I value it, then, and it's, I've invested a lot in it, then I would repair it. And we do have a throwaway society. That's the divorce rates at some point were 50%. I think they're up at 60% now. They're really not headed in the right direction. And human happiness isn't headed in the right direction either. Anxiety and depression are up. Unhappy, dissatisfaction, suicide, all that sort of stuff is going in the wrong direction. So maybe it would be wise to encourage people to actually work on and fix things, remembering that we can only fix ourselves and only work on ourselves. So what part of a relationship is it that I personally can affect? Now, one thing is that a lot of relationships they haven't had to go through much. They haven't, there's a connection based on attraction and, you know, mutual needs and convenience and location and whatever. And our needs are met to a certain degree, and then we don't need to do any deepening or deep work or stuff. So this can be really an opportunity to take the relationship down into a much, it's like get into the trenches, roll down your sleeves, go to war and fight for what's important to you. And when children are involved, this can be really critical, because as much as divorce is fine and all accepted these days, there are a lot of impacts on children, even if it's an amicable divorce, even if they're not really inconvenienced, it still does affect children. It is one of the most traumatic experiences that children, up there in the top 10 kind of thing, for their parents to separate. So both parties need to be willing. They both need to be wanting. They both need to be clear on what it is they're actually wanting. And the true cause needs to be addressed. Now, there is a statement that says that all behavior is communication. So it's good to think about, what is this behavior communicating? What is it? Is it a deep resentment of the opposite gender, like anger, hurt, like past sadness, past abandonment, you know, punishment? Is it about the opposite gender in general? Is it an inability to connect on a deeper level? Is it a lack of self-worth? Is it a fear of abandonment? So you go out and, you know, I'll hurt you before you hurt me. There's just so many different things. Whatever the root cause is, it needs to be addressed. And that's for the person who cheated, but it's also for the person who was cheated on. It's both sides. And I know many couples, I've seen many couples, I've had many clients as well, that have rock solid marriages now and have overcome infidelity. And what I say to people, I actually started incorporating this in some of my programs, is about trust. So trust, people say, oh, I could never trust him again. You never, ever have to trust anyone else. So there's a few things that I can give you perspective on here about this. So the first thing is that when something happens, it happened and it's not happening now. So right in this moment, it's not happening right now. So when I think about trust, I always go back to the bird sitting on the branch, and it is never, ever frightened about that branch breaking, because it knows it can fly. And the trust always needs to be first and foremost primarily in yourself. You need to know that you can fly. You need to know that this relationship is not what's holding you together or holding you up or whatever, that you at any time have within you the capacity to be able to rise up and be able to make a move. So you don't have to actually leave the relationship today to protect yourself from future hurt, because you know that you have within you everything that's needed in order to be able to stay rock solid in yourself. It's faith in yourself. If you don't have that, you'll never be able to trust anyone else, because you're always just there ready to get splattered on the ground. And that's not a safe feeling, to know that if something goes wrong, I'm just going to be splat. So you need to have that ability. Then there's the reliving principle. Like I said, if something's not happening right now, you are still going to experience the pain from it over and over and over again if you are reliving it in your mind every time you rethink, re-stab into like what happened, why did it happen, imagining, like remembering, like going through, like you're going to be activating your nervous system. So you're always going to be in the past, or you're going to be going into the future, and you're going to have like a pre-living, like imagining that this is happening in the future to you again. So that your nervous system's never going to be right now where nothing's happening. You're always going to be like, this happened to me and I'm really feeling the pain of that, and that's may happen to me, and so I'm feeling the future pain. And your present moment is going to be like so uncomfortable because it happened in the past, it could happen in the future, and it's just absolutely terrifying. So in order to get through this, you need to be able to come from a new place of faith. Faith in yourself, faith in humanity, faith in life, faith that, look, stuff happens, and essentially I bring it back to that we're born alone and we die alone, and my interaction with one other human being is my interaction with one other human being. I don't own that person. I don't, and I used to have like, well, we're in a relationship, so you can't go on here and you can't do that. And this is many years ago when I was very young. You know, how dare you look at that girl, or, you know, whatever, just the whole, where I didn't have that whole faith in myself. Now I have like, I'm here having my experience, and you are free to do whatever you like. Like, I have a marriage commitment with you, and I trust you, and I honor that as the highest possible commitment. However, I'm not living in a place of terror and fear around this or that. Like, the ultimate truth of it is that I can only control myself, and that the main thing in a relationship is that when I show up as the most healed, most self-valued, most calm, most self-worthy version of myself, then I am allowing the best from my partner. So I don't have to clutch onto them. Instead, I can hold my own space. And I sometimes draw a picture of where the energy's got to go. The energy has to stay here in me, not throwing it all onto my partner or husband about how they need to meet my need for safety or love or connection or that kind of thing. So the first question to ask, is this relationship healthy and good? Is this person capable, or are they a good match vibrationally for me? Is this going to go somewhere where I can have a good life with this person? Can I put all this stuff aside, do the work on myself? And I often think about, you know, those cute little old couples where you see them hobbling along through the holding hands down the street, and you're like, oh, that is so cute. I want that to be us when we grow old. And what I realized is that when we see those couples, every one of those couples has a story. Now, some of them might have met before the war, and, you know, they lived next door to each other when they were 6, and they've never been with anyone else, et cetera, et cetera. But most of the time, that's actually not the case. Most of the time, they have been through some stuff. They have been through some stuff that's been hard and tough. And the reason that they're walking down the street with that comfort and genuine love and care is because they have done the yards, they've done the miles, they've been through, they've thrown the stones at each other, they've had to pick themselves up from the hurts, they've had to, you know, sit and cry together, argue. Relationships are always going to be like this. You're going to pull together come apart, pull together. Everything has cycles, relationships included. And there's going to be times where you feel so close, so connected, so in love, so safe, so happy, so whatever. And then there's going to be times where it's like, boom, what just happened? You know, this is just like chaos now, and I don't even know how we're going to get back into connection from here. And then there's like the moments where everything is like just gappy and plain, and it's like, where did the fun go here? Like, there's cycles and seasons and reasons and stuff. And the best thing you can ever do in any situation, anything that's coming into your life that feels not good, is to do the work on yourself. And remember, it is 100% worth it to work on you, because when you change, everything changes. So if this has been at all interesting to you, if you liked or hated anything I've said, then throw me a comment, engage with me, follow me, join me, subscribe to me, all that kind of stuff. You can find me on Facebook, My Local Hypnosis, Naomi Stockman, Anxiety Free Life, or on YouTube as Naomi Stockman, My Local Hypnosis. Have a fabulous day and talk soon.